he is. Not only that, he's keeping Pesach. He's keeping the feasts. That's a type, a picture or a foreshadow of you and I walking in the full counsel of Yahweh. Amen? Only those who love the truth can fall from the truth. Only those who embrace the truth can desert the truth. Those who do not have the truth cannot fall away from error, for their very existence, their very doctrinal belief, their very foundation, their very essence, their very understanding, their very comprehension, their very lifestyle is bathed in error. So the pagan world, the agnostic world, the unbelieving world cannot fall away from a belief that they don't have. The church can't fall away from the true faith because for 1,700 years they've been chasing their tail, not having the full revelation of what we understand to be true. Same with the Jews. The Jews were never in the true faith because the Jews, many of the Jews, were the same ones who were saying to Yeshua, come down from the tree and then we'll believe you're the Son of Yahweh. But if he saved himself, he couldn't have saved them. But because he chose not to save himself, he could save them.
Hallelujah.
Make sense?
Hallelujah.
So you can't ask, the last days apostasy and the great falling away cannot be speaking of the Jews, because simply put, unless you have the full counsel of Yahweh and believe in Yahweh's Son, you're not in the faith. They may be in Judaism, but they're not in the true biblical faith. Amen? They may be in Judaism. You could be in Judaism and still not be in the faith. There's a big difference between being in Judaism or being in the true faith, once for all delivered to the saints. So today's message is it us. There's nobody else left. It's not the Muslims, because it says in the Quran, Allah does not beget, neither is he begotten. That means he doesn't have the son. Muslims don't have the Son of Yahweh. So that's not the true biblical faith once delivered to the saints. So by the process of elimination, how about Buddhism or Confucianism or Nichiren Shusho or whatever? All right? Or those who look to the Chinese guy under the palm leaves with a bloated belly. Okay, let's not get into that. So the point is, by the process of elimination, there's only one people that qualifies of having been awakened, guarding Torah. Remember that word, awake and guard? Guarding Torah, having been awakened, and loving the Moshiach, Yahweh's Son. There's one group of people from which the great apostasy will come, and it's us. And I'm going to prophesy to you, and Yahweh, I pray that I'm wrong. There are people in this room that in 5 years will not believe in Yeshua. Yahweh forbid. Yahweh forbid. Because now we're in the age of internet. And now we go to a website, and in 20 minutes Satan can destroy what it took you a lifetime of faith to build up. Go with me, please, to 2 Timothy 3. We're going to go quickly. 2 Timothy 3. Let's find out why it is us. Because before the apostasy and the great falling away, prophesied for the latter days, comes the great return. What is the restoration and regathering of Israel? Is it not the great what? Spiritual return to Yahweh through his Son and his Torah? Is not that what this is all about, the regathering and restoration of both houses of Israel? We who are part of the great return, we are the ones who must stay in that return, for if we do not stay in that return, we can leave that great awakening, and if the day comes when we leave that great awakening, we have become victims of apostasy. We are the only people that have been awakened to Torah, to the Mashiach, Yahweh's Son, to the blood of Yeshua, and the full counsel of Yahweh, and Yahweh's true name, and the Father's true name, and the Son's true name, and Yahweh, Yeshua's death on the Mount of Olives, and the fact that only he entered the Holy of Holies, and we don't, because he enters in for us. It is we who have been awakened. It is we who have been quickened. It is we, you and I. Turn to your neighbor and say, you and I. You and I. Let's try that again. I and you. I and you. You and I. It is you and I that have been quickened. The only people that can fall asleep through being led astray are people who were fully quickened and awakened and regenerated here now in these latter days. Somebody.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We're the only ones left. Satan's not messing with the church. He's not messing with traditional Jews. He's not messing with pagans and agnostics and atheists. He's messing with folks who have such a desire to obey the Torah that their very salvation, they could neglect the weightier matters of the Torah and adopt the lesser matters of the Torah. And the weightier matters of the Torah is redemption, forgiveness, salvation, righteousness, and acceptance before Yahweh. So it is we who want to walk and obey fully with all our heart, with all our mind, with our soul, with all our strength. It is we who are on the verge of forsaking the weightier matters of Torah and adopting in exchange the lesser matters of Torah. Tzitzit, kashrut, Shabbat keeping. Sweetheart, that's not going to get you from New York to Puerto Rico without the blood of Yeshua. But there are people who are forsaking Yeshua within our movement at alarming rates. From the rabbis to the elders to the people, they are Judah, and they're right at the Passover. Oh, look at me, I'm part of Israel. Look at me, I'm at the Pesach. Look at me, I'm eating matzah. Look, I'm even taking the matzah and dipping it into the charoset. Look at me. But it was Yehudah, wasn't it? It wasn't. My own friend, my own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, has lifted up his heel again. Who did eat of my bread has lifted up his heel against me. Was Yehudah a Torah keeper? Yes. Was Yehudah a Messiah believer? Yes. Was Yehudah trained at the foot of Yeshua? Was he renewed? Was he reawakened? Was he requickened? Did he know the full counsel of Yahweh? And he fell away.
Exactly right.
He fell away. It wasn't the doubting Thomas. It wasn't the Catholic Bartholomew. It wasn't Mother Teresa. It was the man who had all the Torah knowledge. And he even had love. He even had love for the master. And we are in the verge. So we've got this great dichotomy. We've got on one hand the most tremendous, precious awakening of the lost sheep of the house of Israel in 2,700 years of exile. And then as soon as they come in, within 5-10 years of this awakening, they're out in the world denying Yeshua, denying the blood, and denying the truth of who Yahweh's son is. Well, let's see where this comes in Scripture. 2 Timothy chapter 3. 2 Timothy, is anyone enjoying? 2 Timothy chapter 3. Give me a page, please. That's going to change, you know, once we get the restoration scriptures out. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. But know this. Now, know this, Israel. Messianic Nazarene Israel. Know this. In the last days, are we in the last days? When did the last days begin? When Kepha stood up in the temple, not the upper room, in the temple, and Yahweh poured out the Ruach HaKodesh, not to birth the church, but to renew Israel. He said, this is that which was spoken by the prophet Yoel. So the latter days began in the temple. If the latter days began 2,000 years ago, we have been in the what? Last of the last days. Know this, in the last days, hard times shall come. Men shall be lovers of self, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, thankless, wrongdoers, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, fierce haters of good, betrayers, circle that word please, betrayers, reckless, puffed up, lovers of pleasure, more than lovers of Elohim, having a form of reverence, but denying its power. Circle that word reverence. The Greek word is asabeo, sabeo. Does that sound like some Hebrew words you know? Shabbat, Sabbat. There is no, what is the Greek word for Shabbat? There is none. Because Greeks don't keep Shabbat. Have you noticed that? So they use a Hebrew word called Sabbat, or Sabeo, or a form or derivative of Sabbat. So everywhere you see in Timothy where it says godliness, that is a mistranslation. We will fix that in the Restoration Version Scriptures. We're going to fix that. And it's going to read the way it should read in Greek, having a form of asavaio, or saveo, or Sabbath keeping, but denying its power. Meaning, how can we say that? They have a form of Shabbat keeping, but they deny the power. In other words, they have a Shabbat on Monday. Hello? They have a form of what? Sabbath righteousness, but they deny the true power of it, of the true righteousness. You follow me? I said, do you follow me? Yes. So everywhere you see that word godliness in 1st and 2nd Timothy, it is a Greek word with a Hebrew derivative, sabeo. Sometimes it has a prefix, asaveo. Sometimes it has a suffix, but there is no translation. The Greek word for godliness or righteousness is a completely different word. So Rav Shaul said that part of the apostasy will be what? Among Sabbath keepers. Are you with me? Okay, let's continue. Verse number 6. For among those who creep into households and captivate silly women, look down with sins led away by various lusts, men and ladies, you should not be in a house alone. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. Men and women, you should not, unless you're married, should not be in a house alone. I don't care how old you are or how young you are, you should not be in a house alone with a member of the opposite sex. Let's continue. Verse 7, always learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth, as Johanna and Mamre opposed Moshe, so do these oppose the truth, men of corrupt minds, found worthless concerning the belief. Circle those words. Worthless concerning the belief. They shall not go further, their folly shall become obvious to all, as to all the men, also that of those men, but you did closely follow my teaching, circle those words, follow Rav Shaul's teaching, the way of life, purpose, the belief, the faith, the emunah, circle those words, the love, the endurance, the persecutions, the sufferings which came to me in Antioch, Iconium, Lystra, which persecutions I bore. Yet out of them all the Master delivered me, indeed all those wishing to live reverently in Messiah. What do you think that Greek word is there for reverently? Asaveo. All those who want to follow Yahweh's what? Torah in Sabbath keeping will be persecuted. Verse 13. But evil men and impostors, circle those words, impostors shall go on to the worst. Now here's what's wrong about being an impostor. Not only are they themselves being led to the worst, but notice verse 13, leading astray and being led astray. So in the last days, there will be those who deny the true what? The true belief, going astray, but worse than that, leading others astray. Now verse 14, but you stay, circle that word stay. You stay in what you have learned and trusted, having known from whom you have learned, that from a baby, spiritual baby, you have known the set apart scriptures that are able to make you wise for deliverance through belief in Messiah Yeshua. Circle that word, through belief in Messiah Yeshua. There is no faith outside of faith in Messiah Yeshua as Yahweh's Son. That faith is not a faith. Okay, all you ecumenicalists, read my lips. I can care less what emails you send me. There is no faith outside of faith in Yahweh's Son. Any faith that leaves out Yahweh's Son as the blessed Redeemer of mankind is not a faith, it is a form of whoredom. I don't care how long the tzitzit is, I don't care how fancy the yarmulke is, I don't care how black or blue the hat is, or how big the head covering is. Did anyone misunderstand my speech? Any belief, from a biblical point of view, that voids, nullifies, negates, or leaves out the Son of Yahweh, not Yeshua, as a teacher, as a rabbi, as a good man, as a good scholar, as an Eastern master, forget about that. It leaves him out as the Son of Yahweh, the lesser Yahweh, as being Yahweh, and yet not the Father Yahweh, is a form of witchcraft. It is not even considered a legitimate form or manifestation of faith. Yahweh said in the latter days there won't just be some that fall away from faith. Now notice what kind of faith, verse 15, faith in Messiah Yeshua. So number one, it is not just any faith or belief we're talking about. It is belief in the Messiah Yeshua as Yahweh's son. Can you believe in Yeshua and go to hell? Yes. Can you believe in Yeshua as Messiah and go to hell? Yes. Lake of fire? Yes. You must believe, and we'll see that in a few minutes, that Yeshua is the son of Yahweh.
Right.
Now,
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Go with me to Matthew 25. We don't have to turn there, but just let's glance at it. Matthew 25. Is it us? We must ask ourselves that question that Yehudah, who was keeping Pesach, believing in Messiah, sitting at the table, asked the Master. We must ask the same question so we can protect ourselves and be on guard and not fall asleep and be prepared for his coming and not be asleep or having fallen away before his coming. Satan's desire, Satan's desire for you is to get you either asleep or to fall away before the coming of the Master. What's the difference between falling away and being asleep? Nothing. You say, well, I wouldn't fall away. Kepha said the same thing. All the shlichim said the same thing, and every one of them fell away. Fortunately, they only fell away for a season. Oh, Master, they'll all betray you, not I. Shimon Kepha said, oh, Master, I'll die for you. Kepha said, really? You'll die for me? Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times that you even know me. Is it us? So that was, now you understand what was happening in the Ruach. Yahweh was saying, if you're asleep to what's happening among you, you might as well be fallen away. And most of you don't have a clue to what's happening in our movement. You don't have, brothers and sisters, you don't have a clue. Because you're so busy in your job, and you're so busy in yourself, and you're so wrapped up in yourself, and many rabbis listening to the sound of my voice and pastors are too busy building their kingdom, building a building, doing a building fund, doing a project, that they are asleep or they don't want to see what's happening all around them. Satan is stealing people from eternal life from our midst. Not in the church, not in traditional Judaism, not in the pagan, unbelieving world. From those who have been awakened, from those who have been quickened, from those who have seen the truth and walked in the truth. And Rav Shul says in 2 Timothy 3:15, from a child you've known the scriptures that are able to quicken you and enlighten you and make you wise to salvation that is in the Messiah Yeshua. Salvation is not in Judaism. Salvation is not in the belief system. Salvation is not in the church. Salvation is not in Yeshua. Salvation is in the blessed eternal brought forth Son of the living Elohim. Somebody give him praise today in the house of Yahweh. Salvation is not found at Bnei Yeshua. It is not found at being a member of Bnei Yeshua, or any other religion, or any other group, or any other assembly, or any other sect. Come on. Man. It is only by the blood of Yeshua. Well, Rabbi, I know this. This is elementary stuff. I know this. Why you tell? You do? Well, how come Yahweh says many of us are sleeping? When there's apostasy all around us and we're doing nothing. And you know what's scary about sleeping? When you're asleep, you and I might get swept up in the apostasy. That's the danger about sleeping. Look at Matthew 25. How many virgins were there? 10. Why 10? The 10 tribes of Israel returning, having their lamps lit by illumination and revelation in the latter days. Why 10 virgins? They symbolize the 10 tribes of returning Israel, Ephraim, or non-Jewish believers. If you're not a Jewish believer, you have directly descended from one of the 10 tribes, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't put up with me or this congregation or anything Yahweh says, Torah, Shabbat, for 2 seconds if you weren't returning from the house of Ephraim, Israel.
Exactly right.
And because you want to do right, because you want to serve Yahweh, it says that the 10 tribes come and they have an equal amount of oil and their lamps are trimmed. But while the master delayed his return, while the master delayed his parousia, the 5 foolish, stupid, unwise virgins done fell asleep. They were silently sleeping. Silent night. Silently sleeping. But they were all quickened, they were all illuminated, they were all given the command to obey Yahweh and wait for the return of the Messiah and believe just because their master, Yeshua, was no longer with them, that he was still the way, that he was still the truth, that he was still the life. They were not asked to give up a belief, a faith that trusted Yeshua alone as the way, the truth, and the life, Yochanan 14:6. But in their wait, the lamp went out, the fire went out, they were caught sleeping, and the oil ran out. Hello? So the 10 tribes in these latter days were being reawakened since 1996. Jewish Israel is being reawakened spiritually and regenerated since what? 1967. Everything's fine. Everything's hunky-dory. But there are people falling asleep at the wheel. There are people that have their lamps and they're not having it trimmed and the oil has gone out. There are founders of messianic organizations that are no longer living for Yeshua. They deny Yeshua. They're in Orthodox Judaism. We got some guys from Davie, Florida, with big ministries in Central and South America going to messianic rabbis. They don't go to the church because the church won't listen to them. They're too smart. It is us. It is us. We got a ministry in Davie, Florida. If I mention his name, everyone in this room will know who I'm talking about.
Uh-oh. Look out.
And he is targeting messianic congregations. And one of the things is to deny Yeshua as Yahweh come in the flesh and deny him as Yahweh's son. He's just a revelation, like he's just the Messiah, but not the son of Yahweh. He's not divine. He has no divine connection. Yahweh was not in the Messiah. He can't be Yahweh. But the lesser Yahweh sent by the greater Yahweh, he's just a good man, or he's the Messiah. He's the Messiah. And they're listening all throughout Central and South America. This man's books in Spanish, his ministry, his website. He even has a TV program right here in South Florida. There used to be a guy who used to be my webmaster. Was a believer. He was the head of an organization that he started. Association of Torah Observant Messianics. Mr. Steve Heilschler. I feel free to name his name because he is publicly denouncing and destroying the name of Yeshua. He was my webmaster. Now he moved to Baltimore, Maryland, and moved into an Orthodox Jewish community. And he apostatized from the Son of Yahweh. The only way of salvation. There are people that came to this congregation. They got so on fire and excited about Torah. 3 weeks later, they were denying that Yeshua was Yahweh. It is us. The next generation, the next wave of apostasy will come from this room. Because the word of Yahweh says it. The only way it will not happen is if Yahweh forbids it and you and I don't sleep.
Hallelujah. Cut short those days.
And we are awake and we have our lamps trimmed, and just because we are part of the 10 virgins and we're part of Ephraim doesn't mean we will still be Ephraim, regenerated and waiting for the master when the master returns. Because Ephraim and Yehuda, who are being awakened and quickened and illuminated now, may not be around at the finish line. That's what Rashul said in 2 Timothy 4, I've run the race, I've finished the course, I've kept the faith, henceforth is laid up a crown of righteousness to me, but not to me only, but to all those who love his appearing. I have run the course. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. Faith that is misplaced might be sincere faith, but it is not biblical faith. You have to make sure that your emunah hits the bullseye. Your emunah hits the target. Your emunah hits the spot. It's not enough to have faith in gold. I have faith in gold. Hell is full of people that have faith in gold. The word of Yahweh says in Yaakov, Satan believes in gold, and yet he is damned and condemned, and he is a being that can never be redeemed. And the Satan demonic demons tremble for the day of judgment coming upon them. They believe. I'm talking about the real belief. Belief in the Son of Yahweh, believe in His Torah, and believe in His Word. That's the real belief. Not a man-made belief. Not a pick-and-choose smorgasbord belief.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. We cannot be like the 5 foolish virgins. We have to be awake. We have to have our lamps trimmed with the oil of anointing. Because the question needs to be asked. You and I need to be asking this question every day. Master, is it us? Is it us?
You have said it.
And what was Yeshua's response? You said it. We must earnestly contend for the faith once for all delivered to the Shalichim. Go with me, please, to Maseh Shalichim, Acts 20. So the apostasy that Scripture speaks of comes from where? From those who know the truth. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? By definition, it is only those who love the truth that can be pulled away from the truth. Make sense? Maseh Shalichim, chapter 20, and verse 25. Rav Shaul speaking as he departs, one of the Kihilot, in Miletus. Maseh Shalichim 20:25. Now see, I know that you all, among whom I went proclaiming the reign of Elohim, shall see my face no more. Therefore I am a witness to you this day, I am clear from the blood of all. For I kept not back from declaring to you all the counsel of Elohim. Therefore, now watch this. Therefore take heed to yourselves. What's another way of saying take heed to yourselves? Wake up, watch, and be on guard. It's not the rabbi who's going to have to stay awake for you. It's not the elder who's going to stay awake for you. It's not the radio preacher. It says you stay awake, you be on guard, you be alert, you watch and care and look over your own soul.
Right. Yes.
Because, Master, there's only one people in the